email marketing is no different than a billboard. When you drive by a billboard on a highway every day, you know that billboard's there. You see it. You don't put a lot of attention to it, but you drive on that same highway and you see that billboard.
Hey, Printlife, welcome back. Kevin Watson on the podcast today. Kevin out of Michigan runs Good Ink and Michigan Awesome, a really great retail brand there. But what's unique about him is that he's scaled down his production and he really has gotten focused in on the things that they're good at and then outsourced almost everything else. Larger orders, big production runs, technical custom printing, all of that is outsourced to a local contract printer. But he went through a journey with this. This wasn't just an overnight thing. They had all of the stuff. They had 2 autos, they had all the equipment and the people and everything, and now have scaled down. So what we're going to talk about is what they look like today from a people and production side, the profitability of the business, I think most importantly, and the stress levels. What do the stress levels look like now and before? So we're going to dive into that. But really quick, we've got incredible sponsors that help put this show on every single week. First up, Stalls.com. If you're ready to take your customer apparel to the next level, Stalls is the leader in heat printing solutions. Not only that, but Stephen was just showing me all of the heat applied products that they're using at Campus Ink on hats and headwear. Really, really cool. Whether you're a small business just starting out or established brand that's scaling, check out stalls.com. They've got so much there, equipment, transfers, and support. But make sure to use the code HUSTLER20. That's HUSTLER20. It gets you 20% off your DTF transfer order. Multicraft_daddy. Dave at Multicraft is just killing me with the Instagram posts. I love it. AI videos, the screen printing history. He's in the lake too. Chris, you got to pop this video up here. If you need ink supplies or a daddy, Multicraft screen printing and digital supplies have been around for over 50 years. They're a legend in the space. Mention the Printavo pod that gets you 10% off your first order. Not only that, you guys know the drill. DM him. Send him a DM on Instagram. He's sending out PMI tape and other really cool things every single week. Send him a DM with your email address to enter. Okay. If you want $250 of product credit, head to easyway.com/giveaway. Easyway.com/giveaway. Just enter it. Why not take the $250, right? They are doing a monthly giveaway every single month. EasyWay is launching this program, and so it's really, really cool. Check them out. EasyWay support is incredible. They've got so much downloadables and resources and knowledge to be able to help. They make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier with their systems, chemicals, and equipment. Graphic Source. If you need a solution to improve efficiency and reduce costs in your art department, GraphXSource.com offers industry-leading outsourcing options for your shop by truly becoming a part of your team. They plug and play with Printavo and other shop management softwares, so handling SEPs and mockups, creative art, order management, digitizing, all that good stuff. They've been doing it for over 40 years. They've got offices all over the world to be able to help you be able to do all this stuff. But also mention Printavo Pod 24. That gets you 50% off your first order. And last but not least, Print Profit, printprofit.com. If you want to see a free one-on-one profit audit of your business, and you can plug and play with Printavo or whatever suite you've got, check it out because it's really, really interesting. This program really helps you be able to get on a more profit-driven path than maybe you were at before. If you're waiting, a week, 2 weeks after the month closed to be able to see if you made profit on that month, this thing can show you real-time profitability of your business. Connects to QuickBooks and Printavo, and it helps you run your shop with confidence to be able to close better deals, increase margin, and grow profitability every day. That's Print Profit. All right, guys, let's jump into the episode. Hudsonville, Michigan. Is that north, south?
So we're our company is technically in Holland, Michigan, and we're just a little bit west of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
That's a pretty nice, aren't there a bunch of breweries there? And Yeah, it's like a cool vacation spot. Pure Michigan?
Yeah, we're right on the lakeshore, so we're just about 7 minutes from the beach. Our location here off Lake Michigan, and it's pretty awesome. Holland is a definite tourist attraction during the summer. Tulip time. I don't know if you've probably never heard of that, but we have a tulip festival every May, and we print a lot of shirts for that. So we like the tulip time festival.
That's pretty rad. Kevin, we did an episode a little while back about running a super lean shop, and we kind of made this call and said, if there's anyone that's doing, close to $1 million with a really lean team, we want to talk to you. And I think that's how we got connected. Because I think, shops that are growing might start spending in different directions, might overhire, and they realize they grew and then they're making less money. And so we're really, really interested in how to run a lean business while still growing and being responsible. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your shop?
We technically operate two businesses. So Michigan Awesome is kind of our retail brand that we operate direct to customer, mainly e-commerce, but wholesale as well. So that's kind of how this business started way back in 2009. And then Good Ink is our custom brand, and that was born in 2016. And so at the time when I started, we were running 2 autos, and we had a full production setup, always did our own in-house production for Michigan Awesome gear, screen printed at the time and everything. And since then, we've kind of taken a look at things and made some changes to our production capability in-house and scaled that pretty far back. So now that's a pretty different operation. We've sold our autos and huge dryer, and we run a pretty lean operation now with a couple heat presses, and then we work with a lot of contract decorators as well.
Wow. And by the way, if you're on YouTube, you could see this. This is their front, which I thought was beautiful. I mean, this signage is really, really nice.
Yeah, it's relatively new. Yeah.
The front space, it's like, if you're listening on audio, it's got this like kind of wood, I don't know, some sort of wood on the top. Looks like a beautiful floor of someone's home, but that's on the side of the building with the letters up on top of the 2 different brands, the retail and then the custom side. So that was really, really nice.
Yeah, we recently moved out of an old Eddie Bauer outlet and that we were renting into our own space in an old Mexican restaurant that is now our shop.
Kevin, tell us a little bit, walk us through, okay, so you had 2 autos, the big dryer. What year was that you like grew to that level?
Probably around 2015, we had both autos running, and we were pumping out a lot of shirts for wholesale orders and things like that for Michigan Awesome. And Good Ink really wasn't even part of the equation at that time. But then it got to a point where multicolor jobs would start coming in for Good Ink customers, and we didn't have a lot of the expertise in-house to run 2 autos. So we're like, all right, we'll get rid of 1 auto to kind of free up the floor space. And then over time, it started happening with the other auto as well. We kind of realized that our strengths were not on the production side of things, when other shops were running huge rock autos with a lot of expertise in creating these amazing prints, and we were doing decent and good work, but still just like not experts in the production space. So it became clear that.
What was the thought though of buying the equipment, going back even with the brand growing and bringing all that in house?
Yeah, I think, obviously it was a different time back when e-commerce was relatively easy, back in the good old days of 2015. And when you could list something online on Facebook and it would sell over the weekend, and you would have to print 150 the next week and ship them all out. And so that was like, all right, let's scale this thing up. Let's be able to pump out more shirts. And that's when it was like, yeah, we need to do that. We need to scale this thing up and make it happen.
How many at the peak of it, how many employees did you have, do you think?
At our peak, we've only been at around 10.
And it was always at 10.
All for the retail.
Yeah, so our total staff has always been around that, and we all kind of carry multi responsibilities for both brands. Some of us specialize in others, but yeah, we were 10 at the peak, and now we're around 7. We have a remote employee right now.
What was the peak like? Like, what did the business look like, and when did you start to see things change?
Yeah. So in terms of the peak as in terms of employees or
just the business as a whole. Yeah. Because we've talked about sweet spots before quite a bit, but I think people have realized that, oh, maybe this isn't the business that I either want to run or this isn't the direction we should continue to go down as far as more stuff. Like, when did you feel like you hit that peak and then know that things were changing directions?
Yeah, I started officially with the business in 2016. So as Good Ink was getting off the ground, and we started to do more custom work, and it became harder to do e-commerce stuff. So it's just become more difficult to sell things online, as you guys are probably aware. The market became more saturated, more Michigan Pride brands started cropping up, and so it just became harder to do that. And then that's when Good Ink really started to build steam. We started putting some more eggs in that basket. And it just really became clear, like, there's a lot we don't know about the production side in terms of screen printing. And we have contractors in our area who are really great and really understand the science and the art of it, and they can do a great job. And it just became clear that we wanted to work with those people who did an excellent job and do less of the headache of production in-house.
Was there a point, Kevin, where you burned out? Was it a financial, like, I'm losing money trying to do this? Like, there had to have been a breaking point, and maybe that was a dark place you don't want to go back to. But tell us about that point. Like, did someone tell you, hey, you should really think about this? Were you just flying by the seat of your pants? Like, because I think a lot of shops listening to this will say, like, should I scale up or scale down? What do I double down on? What am I bad at? And you had to have had some sort of self-awareness or awakening. Tell us about those moments.
Yeah, when you have a press sitting idle in your shop, especially like an auto, because either people don't know how to use it or we don't have the jobs in-house that are fitting for an auto and in terms of setup time and things like that. And they just idle equipment and then potentially idle people. Then that's when it's like, okay, we've got to do something. We got to change something. And that's kind of the moment where it was like, yeah, I think we should probably ditch this auto. And we actually sold our auto and traded it in for a mini press to do. You can kind of see it in the background, but to do live printing. We bought a little mini pony dryer to do some more live printing. And
could you talk a little bit about the revenue? Like, how, where did the business get to? What was cruising altitude for you? Talk to us in as much as you can share, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. So Michigan Awesome, kind of hit a real stride in 2015, 2016. And then we kind of started to see it diminishing returns on that. Again, ad spend, things like that, return on that was starting to diminish. And it was just hard to get traction with that. So that became harder. COVID happened and it blew up in a good way for us, which feels odd to say, but it kind of blew up and we sold a lot of masks, like masks on masks, just with a little Michigan heat pressed emblem on them. We sold hundreds of thousands of those things. And so Michigan Awesome killed it that year. It was really good. And then ever since then, kind of Michigan Awesome has been a little bit of a harder to keep on track. And then Good Ink has kind of been the opposite. It's kind of up and to the right. And so we're still trying to figure out how this all makes sense. given, the state of things right now with e-commerce and also with custom apparel and DTF and things like that are kind of breaking onto the scene. So
I see on the website too, on Michigan Awesome, when you talk about the expertise, I'm like, what do you mean expertise? Like you guys are printing the stuff but as I see like pretty cool designs, one color prints, it seems like for most of them. And that's when you talk about when there's all the variety and everything that the customer wants. Now you have to train the team and learn how to use it. And people weren't, using it, or there was just like the leveling up of the skill level, pivoting from, hey, we're printing this like East Lansing shirt, printing 500 of these to, okay, we've got this schedule and we've got all these 8 different designs and so on, and queuing all that up.
Yeah.
Kevin, you kind of talked about e-commerce back then versus e-commerce now. What makes running a brand way harder today than it was back then? You said you'd post something online and go, like, is it saturation? Is it?
Yeah, I would say there's just a lot of players vying for the attention of potential buyers. And so obviously online, it's just become a lot more crowded with people selling apparel, which is kind of how we got our start. But we branched into more food and furniture and other things for Michigan Awesome. It's just gotten busy. And so people are harder to come by, and your ad dollars don't go as far. And that's kind of how we built the brand and kind of sustained the brand, was a lot of social ads. And organic, honestly. A lot of people came in that way, and it's just harder these days to do that.
And so was that you running all those ads? Like, did you have an agency helping you out with this? Like, the brand is obviously super clean, right? And I think of others like Jute Mode or Rockford Art Deli, right, that have these cool bespoke local brands. Like how did you build that up? Is that your genius?
Yeah. So I've been with the guys behind Michigan Awesome since 2012. I just started doing it as an intern and helping them with their Shopify store and things like that. I have been heavily involved in the Michigan Awesome side of things. Started off doing a lot of the ads, and kind of the lean operation as a mindset across all of the owners here. We have 4 partners. And so we would do a lot of it ourselves. Pretty much everything here is kind of homegrown, done on our own. We've dipped into agency work, and we've disliked it for a variety of reasons. But a lot of it is myself and Dave, my partner, who runs a lot of the social and marketing stuff. I focus more on the Gooding side of things now, and he focuses on Michigan Awesome. But yeah, we've tried a lot, and we've tried it all, if you will. So
that's pretty cool that you've learned that. I've heard similarly across other brands that online ad spend doesn't get the ROI that it used to be. There's so much demand for other people spending on the same audience, same keywords, whatever, that the return is harder to come by. Granted, on the flip side, it seems that there's like a huge pivot too. Like there's TikTok Shop, which is, has had an incredible ROI for the early adopters as well. It's just, that's a different skill set now too, for like people in retail, making videos or working with influencers and setting up TikTok Shop and doing all the other stuff. It's different than like, bidding on different audiences and creating ads that way. But yeah, definitely heard of the same. So
now I was going to say, Kevin, how much do you guys rely on email marketing?
For the Michigan Awesome brand, we live and die by it, honestly. It's still our highest returning channel. So we send out a handful of emails a week, and a lot of our return is right there in email still.
So I talk to a lot of shops. I'm like, are you emailing your customers? And they say no. And I'm like, how many customers are living in your Printavo? And they'll be like 7,000. I'm like, and you're not emailing them? In a D2C brand, email is everything. And you can use tools like Klaviyo or MailChimp, and there's a couple other ones out there. But like, how many emails? I'll always get this thing of like, well, how many should I send? Like, I don't want to spam them or this or that. What do you think is the perfect amount? And what have you seen from email marketing?
Yeah, I handle that a little bit differently depending on the brand. So D2C for Michigan Awesome, it's like you have to continuously email. During the holidays, we'll do sometimes twice a day, which seems annoying to my personality, but it's almost like what you have to do to just get the attention of people, get them to act on whatever you're trying to sell at the time. For Good Ink, we kind of live by this once a month rhythm. Kind of this, one of our mantras around here is just like, you don't always need us, but when you need us, we'll be here, ready to serve you. And so we try to be pleasantly persistent, if you will. So we send an email once a month, and then sometimes it's a promo that doesn't really return anything. And more than anything, it's like, hey, we're here. We're still ready to help you out.
What do you send in there? So the promo, but what else?
Usually it's like, hey, back to school's coming. Like, our turnaround time is right around 3 weeks. You need to get your orders in if you want to have them ready for school type thing. Just like subtle reminders, like, get your orders in. We're kind of packing the schedule full.
And I think that kind of marketing, so there's D2C marketing, which is like, I want a customer to buy, right? And then there's B2B marketing, which is more like nurturing customers. And you kind of said it like, might not know when you need us, but we'll be there. And I like to think that email marketing is no different than a billboard. When you drive by a billboard on a highway every day, you know that billboard's there. You see it. You don't put a lot of attention to it, but you drive on that same highway and you see that billboard. I think it's the same analogy as email. Not everyone's going to open the email. Most people will archive it right away. Some delete it. Maybe some will mark it as spam. But all you're doing is creating some awareness in their inbox that I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And eventually, when they go to their kid's event and they need t-shirts, they're like, oh, I have that email in my inbox, right? And that to me is what email marketing should be. And I think a lot of people are scared of like, I don't want to overdo it, or I don't want to spam them, or like, what are we going to say? And sometimes it's just like, hi, we're here. Have a nice day. Right? Bruce, you guys did a lot of email marketing early at Printavo, but it wasn't like subscribe to Printavo and buy it. How did you think about your marketing strategy when you were early at Printavo with emails?
Yeah, I thought it was smartest to just be like the town newspaper in a way. So, or in our sense, it was the industry, media, blog or whatever. So it's like, here's some interesting articles to read about. Here's our latest podcast that can help you. Here's XYZ. Here's a downloadable that you can, to rethink about pricing. Okay, great. And then we did that once a week. But you're right. I think it is more of, we always thought about how do we value add versus sort of blast out that this is our brand again and again and again. And that way, same thing as the billboard, when you think about maybe needing shop management software, you thought about us because we've been trying to help and add more value over time and over time. So I think that was an easy way. I think, especially for locally sales driven shops, that was probably the better one of like, here's the 3 events happening this month. And if it's monthly, awesome. And that's something easily like someone remote can do, to be able to Google a couple different events or concerts happening, maybe a new restaurant, but also intertwine, this is our business as well. Here's a really cool company we worked with recently. Like you said, get your jobs in, highlighted on top before, school starts and so on. So yeah, and what's crazy is like email is basically free. I mean, I think MailChimp's plans start at, $10 a month, maybe, for 1,000 contacts, something like that. So you can really get started at a pretty cheap cost of advertising than virtually any other medium. The one press you said you had 2 autos. One of them was empty, or not empty, but just not being used very much. And you guys decide we need to make a change, sell it, and pivot in a different direction. What did you think? Did you think it was, we're just going to outsource everything long-term direction? Did you think, because when Steven and I talked about, if we had the chance to fully restart based on the new technology here today, we were like, yeah, find a local, contract screen printer, maybe have some nicer heat presses, we said, in-house that we could do lower quantity stuff, quick return stuff, more of a sales organization. So a rep or two, maybe someone on QA or something that's bringing stuff in to look at things before they go out, and some sort of also operations type person, front office operations that's helping keep things moving. Is that what you thought about too? About, okay, hey, we need to get to a new spot to make this business more profitable and more efficient?
Yeah. And it's honestly, we didn't initially look at it from like a profitability standpoint. We looked at it as what do we enjoy doing? Like what do we like? And most of the times when Dave and I would think about the operation, the headaches always resolved back to production. And it's like even simple things like getting replacements and making sure they get printed, filling a cart at S&S to make sure that they come in free, to avoid all kinds of headaches with that. And it's just like, we just decided, and relatively recently, honestly, we don't have a full-time screen printer right now. Dave kind of handles the screen printing at the moment, and we heat press any job under 50 pieces. And otherwise, we're working with local contract decorators who really rock it. And our cost of goods sold, of course, have increased in that regard. But we're also not paying the salary of a full-time employee, and we're not buying shop supplies. And honestly, it's been simple and a lot better in a lot of ways. Even for the team internally, it's just like, we don't need as much space. We don't have to deal with printing off transparencies and washing out and exposing and all these things. It's like some things I've forgotten about already. It's kind of been great.
When I talk to shops about should they buy a DTF or not, we assumed, we did some calculations that said, if you're not spending more than $6,000 or $7,000 a month, don't even think about buying a DTF. I'm curious if we could workshop it real quick. How much do you think, it makes sense to contract out a month? Like, how much do you think it costs to have an auto, a dryer, and 2 employees, per year in a shop? What do you think that is?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Public math's not my strong suit.
Okay, so here's how I would think about it. You have a press; it's $1,000 a month minimum, right? On maybe a couple $1,000s a month, so $1,000 a month. You have 2 employees, $4,000 a month. You're going to need, so there's just 10,000, probably another half employee in the dark room or something. So like, probably $12,000 to $15,000 a month to support an auto just in costs before you buy ink. And so like, if you can think about that and look at what it would take if you outsourced all of your jobs, I think for some of those shops, they'd find that it's actually really comparable. My question though is, we get a lot of shops that say, I don't trust contract printers. There's no one that's going to print as good as us. You actually came at it from a different approach, saying we're not the best printers. There's other good contractors out there. How did you vet those contractors? What's your relationship like? How, if a shop has never contracted before, give us a few tidbits and best practices.
Our mantra here as well is like, be really good to our contractors. And so we do everything to resolve any question that they might have. So we go the extra mile in making sure that everything is prepped. All the questions are asked, Pantones are called, dimensions are called, garments are in stock and ready to ship. We provide them tracking, things like that, just to kind of make sure that doing business with us is super simple. We've had a really great relationship with our main contract screen printer. And over the years, it's just continued to grow and grow as we've been sending them more business. And they've built their business around being really excellent in the production department. And it's kind of hard when we look at it and we're like, we can do some really great 1 and 2 color prints. But beyond that, like, we're not really up to snuff in terms of being able to do that cost effectively anyway. We thankfully early on built a great relationship, and then we nurture that just by making sure we're good to them. And then, of course, there's always things that happen and crop up, mistakes and human error. but for the most part, it's been really smooth. And we kind of keep a network of them at our disposal when turnaround times get tough. We have a lot of customers who need rush jobs, especially right now. And so we kind of have a few in our back pocket that we can tap into. Some of them local, some of them not as local, so Chicago or beyond. So we prefer to use local vendors that we know and trust, but sometimes that's not possible either.
Did you say you QA the boxes when they get in and then pass them off to them?
So the way that we typically will direct ship to the contractor, they're doing the counting in and everything. And then in terms of like quality assurance, post printing, the rep, whoever handled the order taking, will usually do the QA and the final handoff to the customer.
But I think what I'm hearing is you kill any opportunity for assumptions. And so it's like, how do you send the perfect order to a contractor? It's impeccable communication. It's purchase order with tracking. It's perfect proofs with dimensions, Pantones called out. The separations are already, done or almost however that relationship's going to be. The due dates, the ship dates, like it's beautifully dialed in. And when you do that, working with contractors is amazing, right? Because that's what they're built for. Usually mistakes happen when you just say, make it a center print. And they're like, 8 inches, 12 inches. What do you guys want?
How far from the collar? Right. Yeah.
Yeah. How far from the collar? Just crazy call outs, finishing call outs, things like that. And what I'm hearing though, is you keep a Rolodex of contract printers. It's not just like you just have one, you have multiple of them.
Yeah. We probably have, and for embroidery and screen printing, we have at least 2, if not more, to make sure that we can go to, and we have relationships with some others that we don't work with as often.
Do you think your customers care that you're not physically printing them? I get that question a lot. Like, what can we tell our customers that we're not the ones doing it?
It's always been tough, and it's kind of this thing in business where you're just like secretive about it, but really every business runs in some fashion where, somebody else is involved with producing the final product. And it is kind of weird because we kind of build on local trust and local relationship. Thankfully, the contractors we use are also local. So we can always say, printed in Michigan, design printed, in Michigan.
I wonder if we artificially added that expectation to ourselves. Like when you hire a GC, the expectation is that they're not physically doing anything. they're subbing it all out. Whereas does the end customer care, like you said, if they're like, they just want the really good service, they just need this stuff done on time, they just want it to their quality standards, whatever it is. But who adds that layer of we're doing it versus they doing it? I have a feeling, I know, but
we make up that story in our head, I feel like.
Yeah, like we have to do the work. We have to produce the product. And it's, and what it got to for us is like, we can't do as well as other people do. And so in some ways we're doing a disservice to ourselves and to our customer by not giving them the best product possible. And we still, any job under 50 pieces, we're going to opt to do either a screen print transfer or a digital transfer. And we do those in house, but a lot of our jobs are now 50 plus pieces, which is kind of a whole nother conversation on minimums and things like that. But
yeah, how do you think about that now? Because that's the question a lot of shops have who are doing a lot in-house still, but what moves off to heat applied products? Do the customers care? What are the new minimums? I've seen even shops raise up minimums 50 to 100.
And that has not been easy. We've kind of gone back and forth. We started at 10, then we bumped up to 25, and then we kind of made this switch probably about 6 months ago to doing heat press for anything under 50. And we kind of bounced back to 10 as an easier conversation with some of the customers. And no, it's not great necessarily to do a 10-piece order. And that kind of opens up a can of worms. But I think the big thing was just like in easing some of the transition away, it felt like we had to give them something. And that might be another preconceived notion on our part, like, oh, we've got to give them something since we're not screen printing their order anymore. We must do this for them. So, and honestly, some days I'm like, man, let's just make our minimum 50 pieces. But then I think in the back of my mind, the barrier to entry sometimes is like, that minimum, and then it would be great. There's been orders that have turned great from taking a smaller order to begin with. So it's kind of the constant battle, I don't know the right answer right now.
Kevin, I'm curious, now that you've sort of designed the business to complement you and the vision of the owners, what does your day-to-day look like? Walk us through a day in the life of Kevin.
Yeah. So I primarily am the outside sales effort right now. So that's kind of the role that I've taken. We have another rep who handles the incoming work. So anything that's come in organically through our website, via phone call, walk in, my colleague Bill, he's handling that. And then I can handle the outside sales effort. And then we've just kind of gotten legacy clients as we've built the business since 2016. And a lot of my day-to-day work is working directly with legacy clients, doing some design work and mock-up work. My background is in computer science, so I created and maintain all of our technical systems that handle everything from shop management to sending POs to contractors and things like that. So a lot of that is my job too, making sure that all of our systems are functioning. And then since we've moved into a new building, a lot of construction work too during the afternoon, depending on what's needed that day.
What's the leadership structure look like? Like, is there different levels of management in place? Like, how do you guys all gel? And I think part of running a lean business is creating levels of management and organizational structure and camaraderie the right way. Talk to us about that, like the health of the org.
Yeah, so we've done EOS, which I know you guys have talked about on the pod here, and we probably need to have a refresher. We didn't have like an implementer or anything come in. Again, lean, trying to keep things inexpensive. So myself and Dave are owner operators, so we kind of run and oversee the business. Dave with Michigan Awesome, me with Good Ink. So we're kind of the go-to. So then we have sales, internal sales, and then we have a production lead, and then 2 production employees, and who run everything from QA to pressing to shipping, and then we have a remote designer as well. So that's kind of the entirety of the operation. Mm-hmm.
And do you work alongside each other? Are you guys all on Slack together?
All the systems that we've built for production, everything communicate via Slack. So we get a lot of automated reminders and things like that. But then we're also communicating in Slack, and then we're in 6,000 square feet. So we just kind of talk to each other, yell at each other, et cetera.
And if you were to take a vacation, I saw something, maybe it was like Alex Hermosi or Cody Sanchez. It's like, if you really want to automate your business and see how healthy it is, take a vacation for 2 weeks. And you're going to see how much work you do ahead of time, and then you're going to give the business the ability to break down. What do you think would break down if you left for a month? Really,
only my customer, my customer interactions, and that's really like out of office. We've built a decently automated setup from a production standpoint, so that's kind of covered. I don't have to print transparencies anymore and stuff like that. I do have to order transfers. The rep orders their transfer for their order. That's kind of how we have it structured. So that might break down, but honestly, I would feel completely comfortable taking time off. I do take time off. Everyone here kind of has that flexibility, which is really, again, the kind of the business we want to build. Is like, we want to enjoy what we do, and we want to enjoy who we do it with. And the bigger we got, or the more people we started bringing, the more we're like, just like to get back to our core team when it was fun. And that's kind of where we're going and where we're at right now, which is, it's a nice place to be.
Do you feel less stressed out having gotten rid of so much more equipment and brokering so much and just doing heat applied stuff in house?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just less stressful. there's less to break down. There's less that can go wrong. And, instead of taking the time, if we have a mistake, to set up a 2-3 color job, which takes press time or mix custom inks or what have you, we order a transfer and it's here within a day or two.
What about profitability? Have you been able to see a significant change from doing things in-house versus subbing things out?
Yeah, I'm still kind of waiting on the numbers on that. It's been rather recent that we haven't had a full-time screen printer, so I'm kind of waiting for our cost of goods sold to catch up. We've been operating at quite a good level over the last few months, and our profitability has been up.
Well, what do you mean by waiting for the cost of goods sold to catch up?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'm kind of waiting for the cost of the transfers and the cost of subbing everything out to catch up with us, but we're still operating at a lower cost of goods sold than we were previously. So I don't know if that's attributable to other things like accurately quoting our jobs and making sure that's 100% right, or something else.
How much do you track profit? Whether it's contribution margin is something we talk about. Is it something, do you have a couple we interviewed Justin Moore at Barrel Maker, and he does profit first every single morning. Is that, how anal are you guys about that and making money and thinking about it every day?
Yeah, I would probably say that I spend more time on the revenue side, making sure, that's where I'm spending a majority of my time, is making sure that the revenue is there. And then I have in the back of my mind what our OPEX and cost of goods sold are, to kind of run down what a average month will look like depending on what our revenue is like. And then usually on a quarterly basis, we really dig into it as an ownership group and, kind of figure out what's going on, where our profitability is at. And also depends on the time of year and things happening with the other side of the business too.
Sure. Plus you just moved and...
Yeah, there's kind of a lot in flux. Yeah.
Do you feel like, cost of goods is cut in half? Because it sounds like you were rolling in other things into cost of goods, right? It just wasn't maybe some consumables and shirts and stuff. It's like the people that are actually producing it and equipment, things like that, you're amortizing over it. Is it been a significant change, like 50% profitability increase on an average job, or is it hard to sift through that just yet? Is it significant or not? Whereas you could say, yeah, this is pretty black and white, this is the right direction.
Yeah. So from operating expenses and a labor, it's a good move. And that's kind of where I'm still trying to figure out, will cost of goods make up a big portion of that? Because our contract printing and our transfers and stuff are in our cost of goods, whereas labor consumed more previously with a full-time screen printer. So still trying to boil down those numbers and see, but so far it's been obviously payroll makes up a huge expense. There's no way around that. So that being gone, it's like looking at numbers from that perspective. It's like, all right, that's a win.
I think what shops need to understand is every incremental employee you add. So say, because a lot of shops I just need to hire someone for this, or I just need to hire someone for there. If you hire someone and it costs you $4,000 or $5,000 a month, you need to sell a minimum of 4 to 5 times their salary, right? Otherwise, you're eating at your profitability. And so I think what I'm hearing here is you want sales to grow, but you don't want payroll to grow at the same rate. If it's growing at the same rate, you're not going to eventually create that escape velocity and start to make some real gravy, right? And so it sounds like you guys are very mindful, whether you're buying transfers or you're hiring people, it's either one or the other, but not both, right? How do you guys think about, hey, we need to hire an employee? How judicious are you about that? Is it when we're busy? Do you guys strategically plan for it? How do you think about hiring in your org?
Yeah, I'd say that's one of the greatest challenges that we've faced as an organization, is just finding the right hires and finding good hires, which I'm sure for most shops that's the case. We tried actually to hire a full-time screen printer when the last one moved on. And it was really challenging actually to find someone. And that contributed to the decision, honestly. Finding someone with the right level of skill who wasn't like fresh out of high school at the local tech program, doing screen printing on the side. Because ultimately, again, it was like, we don't want to spend a lot of our time training that person. We'd rather focus on growing the business and operating the business efficiently. So, I think I've gotten a little off the rails of your original question, Stephen, but, remind me what we're, sorry.
Is a lot of shops that I'll talk to and be like, oh, we're going to hire this employee and this employee. And the question I'll ask is like, can you afford it?
Right.
I'll be like, well, I'm like, can you afford it? And a lot of shops don't necessarily know how to do that or don't think through that. And I think that's something that payroll starts to bubble and profit goes down because we don't really know the cost of hiring and what it takes to add another additional head. Bruce, how do you think about it?
Let alone the mental load. My gosh. I mean, it's, not only just, okay, they're in the seat, but like finding, like you said, finding the person, doing all the phone screens, the interviews, then the training, then all the operational stuff. And then, you want to document that. You don't want to just do it once and then, it'd be gone because you have to do it again if they quit and start the whole process all over again. So you're right. I mean, sticking to the leanest team possible has huge benefits for stress profitability is a lot greater. But yeah, I mean, it was hard. I mean, I think what we tried to look at was financially planning, which I wish I would have worked with maybe some sort of fractional financial planner, like CFO type, but like, okay, here's the plan for the year. Here's the different seasonality things we deal with. Here's the one role that we're looking for. When would be the right time to start recruiting for it? That way I can have it at a better time. Because it's sometimes hard to play that catch-up game of like, we're so slammed. Now let me start looking for this person, which means that in 4 months, that person may be in seat and starting to ramp up, right? Or like, more efficient at that point. So now I'm 4 months behind. but yeah, I don't know the perfect answer, but I do love the aspect of profitability with it. And sometimes a lot of businesses look at revenue per employee as like a rough metric of, okay, if our revenue per employee gets above, I don't know, 200 grand or 250 grand, that means that we're okay to be able to look at adding somebody else. Because you're right. Like if you just say, oh, I've got $4,000 extra now. Well, you may not actually have, like they may not be producing enough to make the jump worth it.
Yeah, and for us too, it's making sure that person has a full plate, obviously not right away, but making sure that they have enough to sustain them throughout the day. That's also a major part of the consideration too.
Yeah. Kevin, this is great. Thanks for being able to share. It's an interesting pivotal point. I feel like in the industry, I mean, there seems to be a lot more either consolidation or new businesses starting, or a lot of home-based businesses with heat applied stuff, or this thought of returning back to a better sweet spot or returning to a more profitable space and less top line growth focus. So yeah, I appreciate you being able to share that journey of like, I don't want to say it's not boom and bust, but it's like boom and like rethink.
For incredible wisdom, Kevin. I think a lot of people hearing this will be like, okay, let's sell our press.
Yeah.
You're going to piss off Ross. Where can people reach out if they have questions about this journey too? Can they email you?
Yeah, just kevin@goodink.com.
Okay, simple. Kevin@goodink.com. It's Kevin Watson, everybody. Printers, thanks so much for joining us on this journey. We appreciate you guys listening every week. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully that was informative. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications if you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy all the stuff we're putting out, it's really helpful. We love to just be able to see it. That means that we're doing a good job. To subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and hit the like button. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.